Hey everybody, DMO73 back with part 3 of Surprise Keyblade number 3. Just so you know, this third part is something you guys have been asking me for a long time. The how-to video, step at a time, of how to make a Keyblade. So, this should keep you guys busy while I finish up the third one. Peace out, here it is. Okay, so here we are in my basement. First step, what you want to do with Keyblades is, one, get a good quality wood. Home Depot sells a really nice 3/4 inch pine wood. It's relatively inexpensive. It's about $11 for a 1 foot wide by, I think it's 10 foot long piece, so it's really not that bad. Then what you want to do is either go to a printing store, or I have a friend who does it for me, and get a full-size picture of the Keyblade you want. This is what it'll look like. And then you want to cut out that picture so you can trace it onto the wood. Here's what the picture looks like. This is Lunar Faith, right here. And then here is what the wood looks like. These marks right here are actually pieces where I have to glue other pieces of wood to the side to make sure it's wide enough. You use that by using a basic wood glue, just like this. Elmer's wood glue will do. Make sure that the area is covered with a paper, and then put some glue on each of the attached pieces. And then just use some clamps to clamp them down so that they're firmly pressed up against the wood. Let it sit for about 8 hours, and then you have a new, wider piece of wood. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be tracing the picture onto the wood. I finished the tracing, so I'm going to let you guys see what this looks like. The wood traced on, the next step will be taking it out and going ahead and getting it all cut out. However, there's one more step I need to do. I bet you're all wondering, why didn't I draw the moon? That's because the moon portion of this is going to be a little bit of the detail of it. I'm going to use a material that's called Fiberboard, also available at Home Depot. Very inexpensive. Consider it to be like super cardboard. It's incredibly tough material. It's almost like wood. It's more of a synthetic wood. It's very thin, only about yay thick. Really easy to paint, really easy to cut out. There are no knots in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the moon out of this design and then make that as fiberboard. So there's an extra layer. So then there will be a gap between the moons of the two sides, and it will add a really nice 3D effect to the blade. So I'm going to go ahead and get that cut out, and then next time you see me, we'll be out in the barn going ahead and getting this thing cut out. Getting ready to cut the Keyblade out. With the clamps that you're going to need, same ones that you use to attach the wood together, make sure to clamp it down to the table that you're going to be using so that your wood doesn't move around. This is what my setup usually looks like. See, I've got 2 clamps clamped in 2 different positions. This is my tool, my jigsaw, used to make very fine, just to get the basic shape cut out. This is my hat. Always make sure to wear goggles, and then hearing protection while you're doing it. All you gotta do is just start up the saw and just follow the cuts, moving your wood around and reclamping it as it's needed so you don't destroy your table. And then when you're all done, you should have a basic rough version of your Keyblade before the detail's done. So, Keyblade is cut out. This is what Lunar Faith looks like in its roughest form. So, let me get some paper off of here. This is what it looks like all cut out. But, you know, as you can see, it's just right now it's just a block of wood. So this next portion is the part that's, in my opinion, the part that really makes it a Keyblade. It's the detail work. I do all of my detail work with a tool called a router. A router is pretty much, it takes a saw bit. This is what it looks like. Pretty much takes one of these bits, like this one down here, and rotates it at such a fast rate of speed that it just cuts right into the wood, leaving exactly the type of edge that you want. I can round, I can divot, I can do anything. So this next portion is probably the most important, because this is what truly makes it a piece, a sculpture instead of, or a replica instead of just a cutout. Detail work's all done. I also got the fiberboard parts cut out. So this is what it's actually going to look like after it's all painted. This is when all of the pieces are attached with wood glue. The next portion after this is what you're really going to want to take probably the most time on. It's just the sanding, getting everything sanded down perfectly smooth. Start with a 60 grit, then go to a 150, then go to a 220, and then go over everything with a steel wool. You really want to make sure between each level of sanding that you can feel no grooves or anything on the actual blade. That's going to make it so that when it's all done, it's a really, really nice finished effect. But here's what Lunar Faith looks like with all the detail done. This is the moon attached. As you can see, there's edging. I rounded the handle. And then up here, the whole blade is edged. And this is what I'm talking about with the 2 split levels. Just like with Ultima, there's one piece on each face just to give it a really, really nice effect. So, next step is sealing. After you've got all the sanding done up to 220 grit, and then maybe even a steel mesh, what you need to do is you need to get some of this stuff. Multi-purpose sealer. Pretty cheap, accessible at pretty much any hardware store, or just a Michael's maybe you have in your area, just an arts and crafts store you have. What you pretty much need to do is just a little bit in a cup. Make sure you cover up your area. Take a nice paintbrush. Usually a wide one will do, but you need to want to make sure that you have pretty much all of your area covered, because this stuff can get pretty sticky. You don't want it to get on whatever surface you're painting. So, once you got a good brush, just get a little bit of the stuff, pretty much right in here, like that, and then just scoop some of it up, and it'll paint right onto the surface. Though you do want to make sure to just shake well before you use it, fill it up, and make sure you use a fresh squirt of the stuff. Try not to let it sit out for too long. And you want to make sure to cover pretty much every single space of the wood. Now, the cool thing is, you're probably asking, how do I make sure where I painted since it turns all clear? Or if you can tell, this is a really light, I don't know if you can tell, that's a much lighter color than this area that I'm painting right here is. The sealer actually darkens it, adds an extra coat between the paint and the wood, causing just something that the paint can stick to easier. So, pretty much make sure to cover the whole area. Then once you're done, you want to go over all of that, at least with a steel mesh, to smooth it down because it gets a little rough. You want to use a pretty basic acrylic paint. Craftsmart, sold at any Michael's store, really is a good quality. Also folk art, it's all really based on your pricing. Then you want to get some cups, just like you did for the other stuff, put some in, get a variety of different brushes and such, so you can fit in the small spaces, and be sure to always use painter's tape in between different colors so you make sure you have a smooth line. One thing you want to be careful about, if it's a light color, you're going to need several coats. So try and focus on one color at a time if you can. Also, to make silver a little bit easier, silver is a really thin paint. So in order to make sure that you don't have to do 1,004 layers, make a nice little light gray, just mostly white with a splash of black will do, and paint that over the surface, just one coat, and then take your silver over that. It'll make it nice and reflective, and you'll only need, say, 2 or 3 coats of the silver. Be sure to at least use 2 coats on everything. Finish one side, and then flip it over and do it on the other. And then use a sealer, a spray-on sealer, matte finish, also available at Michael's, just to give it that nice finished look, and so the paint won't get damaged.
So there you have it, guys, the how-to video of how to make a Keyblade from the very beginning to the very end. Hope that was helpful for all you guys who are asking for it, and then I look forward to seeing you all next week with Surprise Keyblade number 3, Part 4. DMO73 signing off.